know, Jane, I forgot the one thing I was supposed to remember to put on the announcements.
Okay.
Carol Ann might have caught it. World Day of Prayer is coming
Oh, gosh.
in September. So you're gonna start hearing about World Day of Prayer. It is September
13.
13th.
Actually 14.
14th.
Starts
The 13th, it starts at Unity Village, and everybody is in the chapel praying. The 14th, this church will stay open. We will be open from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we invite everybody to wherever you are, stop and pray on World Day of Prayer, or stop here. I'm gonna be at the village during World Day of Prayer, because I'm on retreat. So, so please stop in. Carol Ann is holding the high watch for us here, as she always does, and we are so grateful to her. But the church will be open, so please stop in and join with us in World Day of Prayer. Today my talk is called Living and Loving with Gratitude. And I'd like to talk about living our lives with gratitude, and then loving our lives with gratitude. Sounds familiar, similar, but there's a slight difference. We can do our best to live with gratitude for our blessings. Living with gratitude to me means that before my feet hit that floor in the morning, I think of things that I'm grateful for. My 3 little dogs, little Zenyatta's back getting better and healing. And I'm grateful for my work. And who do I get the opportunity to talk with today or interact with today in the course of ministry? And where will God call me to serve today? I'm grateful. When I'm meeting a challenge or something feels off in my day, I choose to look around me and within myself so that I might be grateful for something. And I try to find 3 things, especially when I'm in a rough patch of my day. Ever have rough patches in your day? Am I the only one? When you can stop and realize 3 things that you're grateful for, the energy in you shifts, you change. You become an alchemical transformer of energy, and you take something that maybe wasn't feeling so right, and you think it right. You make it right. And we do that through God. I ask God for all things that I might enjoy life. God gave me life that I might enjoy all things. That's my motto. In the mornings, I often think of my mom and my sister, who I still might be grieving a little bit. Every now and then. And I think of the fun times with them. How grateful I am for the times and the memories that I have. And sometimes I can go back to sleep for a few minutes and they're alive in my dream. What does Reverend Kenneth Gray call that? I think that's called lucid dreaming. And I'm so grateful that I'm not starting my day in grief. I'm starting my day in gratitude for the time we had together. Sometimes I can manifest an understanding on a situation or a problem before my feet even hit the floor. Unity teaches us this. If you find yourself low on funds, Charles Fillmore says, praise and bless whatever you have. And imagine it growing larger. Do not think about yourself, your interests, or your gains or losses, but think larger thoughts about an endless renewable supply and the good of all. And by blessing what you have, you put the law of increase into motion. That's Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity. I'm grateful for that understanding. I can grow something by praising it. I can always find things to be grateful for. And when I get it done before I step out of bed, I'm setting a tone for my whole day. I'm opening up for more to be grateful for. Because what we put our energy into, what we consciously bring to our mind and praise, our hearts and our souls, we bring it there, it increases and increases more and more and more. So we need to be aware, maybe even careful, of what we allow to live in our mind, especially in the morning. I love my mom's take on this, because she used to wake up every day and she used to do her stretch, and she used to say out loud, "Dear God, thank you for another day to be with my family." That was her focus at 95 years old. And when she was transitioning, it was her family that she was speaking of. She was with her grandma Rose. She was with her sisters and her mom, my Gram. She was seeing them all and spending time with them, and it brought her such joy at the end. And it brought us such comfort and joy. There's a movie called The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. Do you know it? Rex Harrison and Gene Tierney. Okay, Rex is a ghost of a sea captain, and Mrs. Muir rents out his house. And he doesn't like it at first. But they kind of fall in love in a ghost human kind of way. And here's a spoiler alert. At the end of the movie, she's old and she passes away, and her spirit comes up out of her body, and Rex Harrison in his prime comes to get her. And they go off into the universe together. When my mom died, I like to think of my dad coming back and coming to her like that, and their spirits reuniting again and going off on a new adventure. I use my power of imagination, and it brings me joy. Of course, we really don't know what happens when we transition. I think it's an experiential thing. But I like to think of that because it does bring me joy. The definition of gratitude is a simple willingness to connect with and express gratitude in every situation. Opens your heart to experience the richness that life has to offer. All we need to do is be aware, my friends. And to become aware, we slow down, we look, we listen to what is present right now. Paul in 1 Thessalonians 5:18 reminds us to give thanks in all circumstances. And that means being grateful for whatever happens. And if we live by that standard, we become transformed. Can we be thankful and in gratitude in all circumstances? I say yes, we can. A lot of times we don't know how the forces of the universe or God are working for our good. The job we didn't get, that just might be a blessing. That relationship that didn't work out could be a blessing. The house we didn't get, I bid on 3 houses. All 3 bids were rejected. I already had the financing set up, but one seller wanted a couple. I was single. Really couldn't change that in 24 hours, you know? Well, I could have, but. One wanted someone with children to enjoy the pool. The house was overpriced anyway. The other seller went for an offer that was higher than the asking price. I bid the asking price. And they went for the higher offer. Of course they did. Do you want to know what? When I visited the house that I bought, I knew it was mine from the moment I walked through the door. And later, when I was unpacking, I found my Bible, and I had written 10 things that I wanted in my home. And none of the first 3 had all 10. Guess which house had all 10 things that I was really praying for? Yep, it was my house. But I wrote the prayer and I went on to the activity of finding what God meant for me. That was 24 years ago. I have 3 payments left on my house. Is there anything you can think of that looked and more importantly felt negative as you were going through it, but it turned out to be the best thing that happened to you? My whole first marriage just flashed by. Sometimes God is destroying something to fashion and make something better for you. We feel bad, we judge it, and we complain about it, and we say, why me? Why me is a language of victims. And friends, we are not victims unless we're willing to hand over our power and allow ourselves to make ourselves the victim. I was the second party in that marriage, and believe me, I had my side of the dance that we were doing. Many things were not right about me in those days, and I learned a lot about myself in that first marriage. I always say first marriage like there's going to be a second one. Just saying. I learned my value in that marriage, and I learned my strength in the divorce that followed. I learned my resiliency in everything that came after. And once I was on my own, I was free to dance any way that I wanted, and I did. The possibilities were endless. So sometimes when you don't get what you want, or you're being delayed for something better and higher than what you thought you wanted, there are so many ways to express gratitude. You can keep a journal, you can call someone every day and tell them that you love them. You can praise your wallet with $1 into $20 and then into $100. That's what we've been doing with the roof fund, by the way. We've been praising it up. The possibilities are endless. The second part of my talk today is loving in gratitude. So here's a question. How grateful do you act to those that you love? What acts of kindness are you showing yourself also? And then showing others. Because it has to start with self-love. And then the love comes up and can ooze all over the place. But it starts with self-love. When we practice self-love and gratitude for all that is within us, even our flaws and our mistakes, we're embracing our wholeness. I bring my whole self up here when I talk. Not just the great and powerful minister. I mean, just Karol. I bring all of Karol up here. I bring you my flaws and my shortcomings, and I bring you my spiritual revelations, all on this stage. And it took me a long time to understand that I have to bring all of me to our ministry. The whole Karol, like it or not. Mostly I like her these days, and I always love her. God and I have a wonderful friendship, and sometimes God, the universe, throws me a curveball that is so funky or funny that I just have to laugh out loud. And when I give my life up from my egoic place, I can't begin to tell you the adventures. They keep presenting themselves to me. And each one is more magical than the one before. I show myself unconditional love because I'm learning how to show everybody unconditional love. Even though sometimes I fall into my human ego crap, and I have conditions on my love that usually cause me pain. Hear that? The other person, my ex-husband, did not cause me pain. Pain was caused by my unwillingness to have unconditional love. And I accept those times when I'm human and in a human petty place, and I try to do better because that's who I want to be. I want to be a forgiver and show the same grace that God has shown to me. I want to show that to everyone. I want to be a peacemaker and have peace in my soul. I want to be all that God means me to be and not play out some small and petty stuff. Have you ever heard the term spiritual and emotional maturity? Simply stated, the first step on the journey is to become aware that there's another way to consider life and its experiences. And that is often initiated by a question or series of questions that arise that include, who am I? What is this life about? And surely there's more to do than just this. My job, my money, my success, whatever. After that initial awareness, something stirs inside of us and we start to spiritually wake up. We begin to accept a new understanding and knowledge about who we are as a divine expression. Accepting that we are greater than we could have previously imagined begins to grow our sense of individuation. And it has a counterpoint. It strengthens our sense of ego, and we move from victors, from victims to victors in our life. So understand, we move from that place of victimhood, why me, to this is me, wholeness, I own all of it. And then we take it another step to verity. Verity is that God consciousness. Verity is me wanting to show the same grace that God shows me. There comes a point on the spiritual journey where the soul starts to speak to us and says, okay, you've gained enough knowing capacity. It's time to surrender and let go of all you thought you knew and learn to dance at the edge of mystery. To go one step further into surrender and be present to not knowing. While holding space for possibility, it takes great spiritual maturity and wisdom. And why? Because of our ego, because of our small self. Our small self, our ego wants answers. Why did this happen? And the ego wants to be right. All of this is still very important to the ego because it's not been tempered through spiritual wisdom of unlearning and unknowing. When one has awakened and matured to their adverse ego, as Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, called it, they begin to realize that the soul works and thrives from the space of the unknown, from sitting in the question while dancing at the edge of mystery. The soul desires to be present to what is emerging now, even if it looks like discomfort. In Unity language, dancing at the edge of mystery is the capacity to be present in the midst of discomfort and disagreement, and show up as one who exhibits the qualities and attributes of spiritual and emotional maturity. Spiritual and emotional maturity is a result of conscious practice that arises from the capacity to be in a space of not knowing, of being willing to be present to a time of conscious unlearning, which is the capacity to be present to what is happening in the space around us and to be willing to surround ourselves with the idea, what if something greater is desiring to emerge and I don't have to have all the answers to what it would look like or what it might be. I get to decide when to work on my spiritual and emotional maturity. I get to decide when and where to do my emotional work. I get to decide when I change my mind about something or when I surrender completely. And when I'm doing this, I am loving with gratitude. Loving myself with gratitude for my ability to grow spiritually, to grow my consciousness, to change the one person that I can change, me. So we can live and love in gratitude every single day. I invite you this week to go out and concentrate and give your energy on that you wish to grow. There's a power in what we pay attention to. So let's take that out to the new week together. Namaste. Thank you for letting me speak today.